Good morning, Jim.
Morning, Jessica. What can I do for you?
Well, my publisher and his wife are coming to visit, and I'd like them to experience an authentic Maine lobster dinner.
I'm kinda short on lobsters at the moment, it being early and all. I'll have more by the end of the day, once the fleet's back in.
Oh, dear. They'll be here by then.
Tell you what, Peter Hammond's boat is still tied up at the dock. Why don't you go talk to him? Maybe he'll be able to sell you some straight off the boat.
Good idea. Thanks, Jim. Peter? Oh, no, Peter!
So this is how you found him, Mrs. F?
Yes, exactly like this.
What do you think, Doc?
As to what stabbed him, I have no idea. It's a very strange-looking wound. Some sort of tube, perhaps. I should think that a wound like that should have resulted in a lot more blood.
Meaning?
Meaning that Peter may have been killed elsewhere and brought back here.
Any idea on time of death?
Hard to be sure. Sometime during the overnight hours.
We better have a look around to see what else we can find.
Hey, what's going on?
I'm afraid I have some bad news for you, Billy. Your uncle was murdered last night.
What?
I'm afraid it's true.
Oh, man.
The lobster pound is always the nerve center of the fishing community. We should talk to Jim Price and ask him if he knew about any tensions between Peter and the other lobstermen. And in the meantime, I better call my publisher to postpone his visit.
Hey there, Jim. Do you know if anyone had any disagreements with Peter Hammond?
First person who comes to mind would be Andy Winters.
He wasn't on friendly terms with Peter?
More like unfriendly terms. In fact, they were downright hostile to each other.
Know where we can find him?
Sure, he's got a boat with the buoy and his colors mounted on top of the wheelhouse. I forget the name, but he left a picture of it around here somewhere.
According to the photo, we're looking for a boat named My Turn, with a red and blue buoy on it.
I think I recognize the dock. It's not far from here.
Hi, Sheriff. Jessica, what's all the excitement over on Peter's boat?
Peter was murdered sometime last night, Andy.
It was?
Yeah, and word has it that you and Peter were not exactly friends.
I wouldn't say it was any different than for other fishermen. Mostly name-calling. I'm pretty sure Peter was cutting my traps.
Did getting even with Peter involve killing him?
Absolutely not.
Then you won't mind telling me where you were last night.
I was at the Harborside Tavern all evening.
Yeah? Can anyone there vouch for you?
Well, sure.
Had you noticed anything different about Peter? Had he been doing anything new recently?
Yeah, he weaseled his way into some sort of cushy research gig with the Marine Research Laboratory.
You make it sound as if earning some extra income is somehow cheating.
When the rest of us are struggling to catch enough to earn a living, you can't blame us if we resented him, especially since Peter was having a better season than us.
Andy was a little vague about his alibi for last night.
And he seemed bent out of shape that Peter landed a gig with a Marine Research Lab.
I agree, which is why that should be our next stop.
Sheriff, Mrs. Fletcher, come on in. I'm Greg Young. What can I do for you?
Were you aware that Peter Hammond was killed last night?
No. That's terrible. Was it an accident?
I'm afraid not. Peter was murdered.
He was working for you, right?
Yes, he was. I'm working on a project researching the lobster population off the coast, and Peter was helping me gather data.
How did you connect with him?
I posted a flyer at the lobster pound, looking for a lobsterman willing to make detailed notes about the lobsters he was catching. Peter was the first one to answer the ad.
I just got a call from the station.
What is it?
Billy Hammond says there's been a break-in on his uncle's boat. Okay, Billy, what happened here?
Some guy broke in here, was poking around the cabin. He took off when he heard me coming.
Do you have any idea who it was?
Nah,
I only caught a glimpse of him as he ran off, but whoever it was, he smokes a pretty nasty cigar.
Let's head over to the Harborside Tavern and see if we can find someone who smokes Dominican cigars.
Good idea. While we're there, we can see if anyone remembers seeing Andy Winters there last night. Oh dear. Looks like this place has fallen on hard times.
It's the only place I know in Cabot Cove that sells Dominican cigars.
Let's ask around and see if anyone remembers Peter spending any time here. There's someone smoking one of the Dominican cigars we found at the crime scene.
That's Mick Foley. I should have known. He's a notorious loan shark. Enjoying your Dominican cigar, Mr. Foley?
As a matter of fact, yeah.
Billy Hammond just surprised an intruder on his uncle's boat who smokes the same kind as you.
I'll save you some trouble, Sheriff. I was on the Cornelia about an hour ago,
What were you doing there?
looking for something to collect on the loan I made to Peter a few months ago. And since Peter wasn't very good at keeping up with the payments alive, he sure ain't gonna keep up with them dead.
Defaulting on a big loan might be considered a motive for murder.
Not for me. Peter was worth more to me alive, as long as he didn't retire.
Was he ready for retirement?
Nah, but his nephew Billy couldn't wait to get his hands on the Cornelia. He was always trying to convince Peter to retire instead of taking out loans to keep the business going.
Do you know why Peter fell behind on his payments?
He said the lobsters weren't biting, but I heard through the grapevine he had an ex-wife down in Florida that kept up in the alimony.
I see. So where were you last night?
Right here, working out the details of a loan with a customer.
Andy Winters, apparently, going by this contract I found. What do you think of the deal you offered him?
Sorry, I gotta protect my client's confidentiality. Now, if you'll excuse me.
So it would seem that Andy was telling the truth about his whereabouts last night.
I'm curious what he was planning to use the money for. Let's go talk with him on his boat first thing in the morning.
Okay, Andy, we followed up on your alibi at the Harborside Tavern.
You met with Mick Foley there to discuss a loan, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. With the lobsters getting scarce, I needed the money to get through the season. Fortunately, I should be able to pay the loan back before long.
Why is that?
Heard there was a job opening near the docks. Just a little something to do on the side.
You mind if we take a look around?
Knock yourself out.
Greg Young sure didn't waste any time finding someone to replace Peter.
I agree. I wonder why he was in such a hurry.
Maybe we should go over to the lab and ask him ourselves. It looks like Andy Winters is your new assistant on your research project.
I know that replacing him so fast may seem inappropriate in light of Peter's death, but I had no choice. Any lapse in the data collection could ruin a whole season's worth of research.
Why are you repainting one of Peter's buoys into Andy's colors?
Easier to repaint it than refit another buoy with a new transmitter.
You got an explanation for the blood on these shards of glass, Mr. Young?
It's simple enough, Sheriff. I dropped a glass cylinder and cut myself when I went to pick up the pieces, and I have the bandage to prove it.
So when was the last time Peter visited your lab?
It had been a while. I usually went by his boat to pick up his data. Hope you don't mind, but I need to get back to crunching numbers.
Blood on the floor and on a possible murder weapon? Seth certainly has his work cut out for him.
I'll have him check the blood against Greg's to see if his story checks out.
Sheriff, I'm pretty sure that Billy Hammond was here at the lab the night Peter was killed.
If he has a good explanation for that, I'd like to hear it.
Sheriff, Mrs. Fletcher, what can I do for you?
You can tell us what you were doing at the Marine Research Lab the night your uncle was killed.
What? I was never there.
I'm afraid you were, Billy. We found the toothpicks you're always chewing in a wastebasket there.
Okay, maybe I did go there. I knew Peter was heading that way and I needed to talk to him.
About what?
About getting a better percentage. Lately, his catches had been better than average, and I figured I was entitled to more. But when I finally got up the courage to ask him for a raise, he fired me on the spot.
And what about his promise to leave you the boat?
He said I'd never inherit the Cornelia.
So you killed him, right?
No, I mean I lost it and knocked his lights out, but I sure didn't kill him.
What happened after that?
Nothing, I just left him there. I have no idea how he ended up back on the Cornelia.
Sheriff, if what Billy says is true, then someone else stabbed Peter and killed him.
Maybe so, but his motive is hard to ignore.
Billy, do you have any idea what sort of numbers Peter was recording for his lobster catches?
Low for most of the season. But then a couple of months ago we started getting lucky and began catching a lot more.
Why would someone fill a trap with lobsters that have already been caught?
Maybe Jim Price can sort this out. Let's go talk with him. Looks like Jim is out back with some fishermen.
Oh, we shouldn't bother him while he's doing business, Sheriff. Let's just take a quick look around the store while we wait.
Hey, what are you doing here? We're closed.
We were hoping you could clear something up for us.
How's the lobster season been so far this year?
Good. Best season we've had in years.
But Jim, if the catch has been so good, why are your tanks nearly empty now? And why did you have so few lobsters yesterday morning that you sent me to Peter instead?
Well,
Speaking of Peter's catch, you got an explanation for how a lobster can get into a trap already banded with one of your bands?
You were putting lobsters from your tanks into Peter's traps, weren't you, Jim? That's why you have that searchlight, to help you find his traps at night.
Okay, yeah, I was. It was costing me plenty, too, since I had to buy them back from him once he hauled them in.
Why go through all that trouble?
Because my business depended on it. Look, if the Marine Research Lab confirms that there are low numbers of lobsters being caught, the government's going to start imposing limits on how many lobsters the guys can bring in.
And that in turn would limit how many you have available for sale.
So you stacked the deck.
Well, that's one way to put it, yeah. I went out after dark, hauled Peter's traps, and stocked them with extra lobsters so that the numbers he reported to the lab looked good.
Let me guess. Peter caught you tinkering with his gear, threatened to tell Greg you skewed the data, so you killed him.
No, Peter was clueless.
Besides, Sheriff, if Jim was successfully stacking the deck, then Peter was worth more to him alive than dead.
Okay, but don't take any last-minute vacations.
Jim couldn't have put those lobsters in Peter's traps by himself. He would have had to have help from someone with a boat.
Yeah, and from the evidence we've seen, I bet that it's Andy who's been doing the helping. Tomorrow we'll have another early morning interview with him. Seth called me last night. He said the blood traces on those broken pieces of glass match Peter's blood type and not Greg's.
So he was definitely killed at the lab with that broken glassware?
It looks that way. Maybe Greg had a motive we haven't figured out yet. Or maybe Andy made a stop at the lab after he left the Harborside Tavern. Or maybe he and Mick are covering for each other because they killed Peter together.
Well, we can ask Andy about it right now. His boat is right over there. Oh, dear. Poor Andy.
Looks like someone got to him before we did, Mrs. F. Maybe that IOU didn't get torn up because it was paid off.
You mean it could have been torn up during an argument between Andy and Mick?
That's exactly what I'm thinking. And since Andy's not going to tell us about it, we'll have to get the story from Mick himself.
Oh, not the two of you again.
Afraid so, Mr. Foley. Another one of your clients was murdered last night.
Who?
Andy Winters. And we found the loan papers you drew up for him torn up.
Well, naturally, he paid off his loan.
And where'd he get the money to pay you back?
Well, he told me he'd come into some diamonds. He asked me to come over to his boat to collect them.
Aren't diamonds an awfully inconvenient form of loan repayment?
My hunch was they were worth way more than the loan was, maybe twice as much. Anyway, with terms that favorable, I figured it'd be worth the extra effort.
Where'd he get these diamonds?
I didn't want to know, but I can tell you this. Andy was very much alive when we finished our transaction.
Mick didn't see Billy on Andy's boat, but those toothpicks mean he was there. Maybe after Mick had left.
Yeah, and the boat hook that was used as the murder weapon was Peter's. Who else would have access to it besides his nephew?
I don't know, but I hope Billy has a logical explanation for all of this.
I didn't kill Andy. I've been nowhere near the my turn.
Billy, I'm sorry to say that it's getting very difficult to believe you are innocent in all of this.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to take a look around, Billy.
Go ahead. I have nothing to hide.
This means I'm gonna have to get those diamonds from Mick that Andy gave him to repay his loan.
And I don't think he's going to be very happy about it.
Oh boy, here we go again.
Nice to see you again, Mr. Foley.
I wish I could say the feeling was mutual.
I'm gonna have to ask you to turn those diamonds Andy gave you over to me.
Why?
Because it's evidence in a murder investigation, that's why.
Well, what if I told you I don't have them? What if I've already passed them on to a gemstone dealer?
What if I told you you could be arrested as an accessory to murder?
Whoa, slow down. Let me gather them up here.
public library has some strong magnifying glasses on hand for reading very fine print. We should be able to use one to look for identifying marks on these diamonds.
Then let's get going.
Where do you suppose they would keep the magnifying glasses around here?
This place looks like it's been hit by a hurricane.
Well, it's just nice to see that our local library is getting a lot of good use.
It's certainly not going to make our job any easier. Well, this printout confirms that all the diamonds came from the same place, a jewelry heist 20 years ago.
I remember when that happened. Weren't there 2 men involved?
Yeah, one was caught, but the other got away, and the diamonds were never recovered. The guy who was caught was named Brian Young, and according to this, he recently died in prison from a heart attack.
Brian Young. Do they list any surviving relatives?
Yep, one brother, Gregory.
What are the chances that Gregory is the same Greg who works at the Marine Research Lab?
I'd say they're pretty darn good. Actually, now that these diamonds have surfaced, they're better than good. Let's head over there. Nobody's here.
Perhaps Greg stepped out.
Let's see if we can find anything to link Greg to the diamonds.
What are you doing here?
These yours, Mr. Young?
You're not going anywhere.
You are the brother of Brian Young, the diamond thief, aren't you? But more than that, you're also his uncaught accomplice in the theft.
Yeah, I was. I drove the getaway car, but Brian was the one carrying the loot, and he hid the diamonds without telling me where he put them. Then he got arrested.
How did you manage to find them?
Well, Brian was practical enough to know that if anything happened to him while he was locked up, one of us should enjoy the benefit of them. So he left coded instructions in his will as to where I could find them.
So why this elaborate setup with the hollowed-out buoys and transmitters?
Well, I couldn't just spend the things on the street. I found a smuggling organization in Canada willing to move the diamonds overseas and deposit the money in a Swiss bank account. Hiding small groups of diamonds in lobster buoys that could be picked up by them was the safest way to make the drops.
Is that where Peter Hammond came in?
Yeah, he answered my ad looking for someone to help collect data for the lobster study. While I fitted his buoys with the tracking transmitters, I also hollowed out a space inside to hold the diamonds.
And Peter, did he have any idea that you were using him?
Not a clue. At least, not until he came to the lab that night and caught me stuffing one of his hollowed-out buoys with diamonds.
How did Billy fit into all of this?
Before Peter could ask what I was doing, he heard Billy calling his name. I guess he'd followed him so he could ask for a raise. Anyway, I hid when I heard Billy coming.
So you saw Billy and Peter argue and fight then?
I saw the whole thing. Billy knocked Peter flat. And once Billy was gone, I took advantage of the opportunity to get rid of a serious liability.
In other words, you broke a cylinder and stabbed Peter in the back with it, killing him before he could regain consciousness. And then you moved his body back to the Cornelia using your cart.
I knew Billy would be the prime suspect, but things got complicated when Andy hauled one of Peter's traps and accidentally found a shipment of diamonds inside the float.
Apparently, Andy was helping Jim Price stock Peter's traps with lobsters to make it look like he was catching more than he actually was.
Not a bad scheme. Anyway, since the diamonds were in one of the buoys with my transmitter, Andy figured out that the diamonds came from me. He blackmailed me into letting him take Peter's place here and get the diamonds for himself.
He used them to pay off a loan.
Well, maybe they helped him financially, but I couldn't afford to have a blackmailer as a partner.
So you killed him with the boat hook from the Cornelia and spread some toothpicks around in hopes of redirecting suspicion at Billy Hammond. Unfortunately for you, you were the only logical killer.
Greg, you're looking at a very long prison sentence. You might be able to get a shot at a slightly more comfortable cell if you help us go after your Canadian contacts. You sure you want to do this, Billy? It could be dangerous.
My uncle died for this. Let's chart our course.
This is the place.
Okay, get that buoy ready to drop overboard. Keep your hands where we can see them. You are under arrest for the illegal trafficking of stolen property.
You did a good job, Billy. Your uncle would have been proud.